Good afternoon, Contractor Huddle. Proud to be back for our bi-weekly series with the one and only Shawn Flynn of Shawn Flynn Sales. What's up, brother?
What's up, guys? What's up, everybody?
Always have fun on a Friday to work with you, get some nuggets. Then I go have my lunch, and what a perfect start to the weekend.
Love it.
What's your plans this Memorial Day? Anything fun?
We are gonna be now. This is contradictory to what I always preach about busting your ass and working 24/7. But I am on Monday going to be hitting the river with the wife and kids. We're going to be kayaking, canoeing, and hitting
Sweet.
up a barbecue. So
Nice.
normally I preach like you got to bust your ass when you're going into it. Work when everybody else is sleeping. But I am taking the time this Monday. We're going to have a little family day.
Good. Well, enjoy that, and we'll see you back to work on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Here's our topics today from the huddle. A lot are coming from the huddle. One was just I was in LinkedIn last couple days ago, and then all of a sudden thought of you, and I just said, man, I got to be working more on LinkedIn. So I want to get your opinions on LinkedIn. We're going to talk a little bit about cold calling, and then get you up to date on Austin from Austin.
Beautiful.
Okay. So LinkedIn for contractors. So, I have my masonry company, and I was just in there, and I'm reaching out to contractors right now because I have this course that I'm developing, and I wanted to get some feedback from contractors. And then all of a sudden I saw, man, there's just so many of my perfect clients in here. And then I thought, well, where do you even start? Do you buy the premium packages? Do you, I don't even know where to start. So picture all of us contractors in the huddle. We all have LinkedIn accounts. Maybe we don't. Tell us what we should do with LinkedIn.
LinkedIn is probably the number one most underutilized social media, and it is. People don't even think of it as social media. It is a social media platform. It's probably the number one most underutilized program and platform by the people that could actually use it the most, and it's probably the most overused platform from the people that really shouldn't be using it. It's a very across the board misunderstood platform. It's incredibly powerful. You touched on the premium packages. Now, if you're a salesperson, which depending on where you are and what means of the business you're running, there are those packages. There is a package that's perfect for salespeople. I forget what it's called, but there's a specific LinkedIn package that lets you track leads and do a whole ton of powerful stuff. Right out the gate, I would tell you don't need those packages until you get your feet wet and truly understand, because they're not cheap. And if you just kind of pay for it blindly and you don't really know what you're doing, you're going to waste some money. So don't jump into the packages until you really know what you're doing. The biggest piece of having any of those premium packages is that they come with in-mail credits.
Yeah.
And the in-mail credits are what allow you to send messages to business owners, people, whoever that you're not connected with whatsoever. Kind of crazy. Those aren't cheap either when you pay for them per in-mail credit. So again, that's kind of where those packages really come into play. As far as contractors go, getting your feet wet, what you got to understand with LinkedIn is the power that lies within its search feature. You have the ability to search for individuals based on their location. That should start setting off some dollar signs in front of you, based on their location, based on their job title. So if you are specifically targeting business owners, if you are specifically targeting somebody that owns XYZ business, where if you got in front of this person and you let them know what you can bring, you've kind of done a bit of investigation, you've seen what they're all about, you've checked out their building, whatever it is, depending on what you're trying to sell. The fact that you can narrow by job title and by location, that gives you an incredibly quick method of pulling up just a huge list of leads for business owners in your zip code, in your location. I mean, that alone is powerful in and of itself, let alone everything else that you can do on LinkedIn. So it is very powerful, but you got to know what you're doing and you got to go about it the right way, and do not spam people. I cannot stress that enough. I probably get 20 to 30 messages a day on LinkedIn, and it's just copy paste. Yeah. It's just, wow. Now I have a I'm constantly growing that network, and I have a pretty big connection, whatever you want to call it, network or whatever. So I'm constantly getting spammed, and it's just so obvious. So what you want to do anytime you tackle a platform like that is pay attention to what people are doing, pay attention what not to do, find a way to make yourself stand out, find a way to make yourself reach out to people in a way that's coming from a sense of true help, you know, instead of just trying to cram stuff. Try to build relationships, go there, ask them what they're all about, what do they do, have fun with it, and do not spam, because that will absolutely just, you'll ruin your reputation before you can even begin to get any traction. People talk, and you don't want to go there.
So what blew me away is Luke Coleman. He owns O'Hara Sun Riffing. He's on there, and he's one of the huddle guys. He posts pictures, and his key that he told me yesterday was make it a little bit controversial, or, you know, something that people will relate to one way or the other, you know, extreme, high or low. I'm blown away at how much activity, you know, comments, likes that he's getting for, let's say, a simple roofing picture. Now, probably it's people in his trade, but I'm sure they have an algorithm that says many likes, many comments. They're gonna put that in people's feed, just like Facebook.
Right.
And I know you're king of the images. Do you use your images on LinkedIn? Or, you know, are you posting on LinkedIn? What are you doing for content?
Yes and no. Yes and no. It's the images that, when it comes to your approach to social media, you can't treat every platform like it's the same. You need to give people a reason to want to follow you on a specific platform. So like, I could easily, I know you like if this then that. I actually messed around with if this and that on LinkedIn this weekend, but it got to be a little bit too much. It was posting like a New York Times article every 20 seconds. So I shut that off. But you can do things like if this then that, so that if I post on Instagram, it posts to Facebook, and then it posts to LinkedIn, and then it posts to wherever. It's easy to set up those funnels. But you got to be careful of how you treat each platform. So the type of images that I put on Instagram are not, you know, it's motivational. It's kind of that aspect to what I do. And it's not necessarily something, it might get attention on LinkedIn, but not the type of attention to get on LinkedIn that I would want. You want to focus more on providing value and insight within your niche to make people see it, see that you're somebody that knows what they're talking about, see that you're somebody that's a professional, and see that you're maybe a thought leader in your industry, and that you want to try to brand yourself in a way where people start reaching out to you and just asking you questions. Hey, I saw that you posted this article. Hey, I saw that you posted this. I wanted to pick your brain about that. You want to focus more on starting conversations and building relationships, because that is going to give you the keys to kind of organically gain some business. And to be honest, where I said LinkedIn is one of the most underused platforms out there, as much as I know about LinkedIn, I don't hit it enough. And for me right now, it's a time constraint, and that's something eventually I'll pay somebody to do it. But what I would focus heavily on is writing articles. It's easy to do. You can publish an article on LinkedIn and it looks beautiful. It looks like it was published on New York Times or wherever, and it's there for everybody to see. It's searchable. You want to focus on doing that. And again, just to rewind a little bit, this is more of a social media tip. Be careful about just simply putting your stuff on every platform, because then you water yourself down. If all I do on Facebook is post Instagram stuff, then why would people want to follow me on Instagram? If all I do on LinkedIn is post what I post, you got to be careful. You got to find a way to attack each audience and understand that the LinkedIn audience, while it is a social media platform, is supposed to be more of a professional platform. So you do want to kind of go about it in that way. Where I might use social media like Instagram to try to gain more coaching clients, or more, even I do some social media marketing and things like that. LinkedIn, my focus is more towards trying to land gigs with companies and businesses and get in as a sales trainer as opposed to just a coach, which I might press harder on other platforms. So you got to know what you're targeting and how you're going about it, and just be careful not to water yourself down.
Boy, talk about overwhelming for the regular contractor owns a business, and there's just so many of these platforms and so many things to do. You really have
and
to
stay true to yourself, and understand that when I talk about what I do on social media, I'm in the process of building a personal brand. Aside from being a sales coach, aside from being sales trainer and all that, I'm on a mission right now where I want to be a personal brand. And everybody's a personal brand, but I want to be a big personal brand. I want to be somebody that's all over the place, everywhere. When you're a contractor, you may not necessarily be trying to boost that same type of image. So don't overcomplicate it either, and keep it simple. If you are a contractor, don't stress about what I do. Focus on what you do. Focus on what the strength of your business is, and what is it that makes you an expert in your field, and write a couple articles about it. And if writing isn't your forte, tell somebody. Have a ghostwriter. Have somebody that works for you. Just say, hey, listen, here's my topics X, Y, and Z. I'm not the best writer. Can you kind of put this in a pretty article and have it make sense? Do that and put that type of content out there.
A follow up to that, one of our coaches in the huddle and on the contractorhuddle.com is Angela Denton. So I saw this opportunity on LinkedIn and I said, all right, for the masonry company, North Shore, just focus in on LinkedIn, great content. Let's see if that produces more followers. Let's see if that gets us better results, maybe a lead or two. We're going to have a call to action with a special form so we could track it. So let's remember to talk about it, and I'll be that little experiment. But great stuff on LinkedIn. Okay, so Robert Small on the Contractor Huddle, he got fired up from our last podcast, and he's gung-ho on to get going on cold calling within a 30-mile radius of his place. You and I are a firm believer on, hey, that's a great way of getting business going. My air duct cleaning business that we started from scratch, a national franchise, that's all we would do is go call in on HVAC contractors and say, hey, we're your potential partner. And that's how we built the business. But my advice to him was do a lot of the legwork of, calling on the phone, emailing, make sure you got the right person, that they are really going to be interested. Before you go and beat the streets, because that could beat the heck out of you. What's your thoughts on that? Am I, on the right path there, or do you have different advice?
So I'm a big proponent for doing all of it. Call. In my experience, the more personal, the better your results are going to be. Now you got to have thick skin, because again, just showing up to places unannounced is not always going to work out 100% in your favor, but that's where you got to hone up your skills, and it's like you got to get that experience and figure out how to deal with people. But I would focus the least amount of time on emailing, unless you are putting together a powerful email marketing campaign. But for this, is probably not your angle, cold calling. So I would focus the most heavily on using that phone and showing up. All right. Now, here's the thing. You're going to be able to reach a ton of more people a lot quicker by using the phone. Point blank, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
So when it comes to calling people, you're going to be able to call a lot more people. That's just the science of it. That is what it is. But don't rule out cold visits, because A, it shows your tenacity. B, it shows your work ethic, and C, it shows your commitment level. And people fear rejection so much. They're afraid of showing up and going to a company, because what if they say no? What if they're reading me out and say no? Dude, and then you show up there again a couple days later, 3 or 4 days later, and people at first might think you're a little bit crazy. We keep telling this dude no. We keep telling this dude no. You keep showing up. What's the deal? But eventually, that what you may call annoyance, if you're dealing with a smart individual, is going to turn into admiration, and they're going to start thinking like, man, this guy's committed. Maybe we should give him the time of day. Now there's a point, you don't want to be going in there being annoying. You want to be professional. You want to show your conviction and who you are, and that you believe, as long as you believe 100% that you can help this business out, dude, it's your duty to show up. It's your duty to keep showing up, because if you let them go without letting you in there to do what you can do to make things better for them, you're doing them a disservice. And it's okay to tell them that. And eventually, man, you show up enough times, I promise you, some of that aggravation and annoyance will turn into admiration. And if I was a business owner in that potential, and I had a salesperson showing up every single day, man, eventually I'd offer the dude a job. because that's the type of person I want working for me. That's the type, dude, if you're that committed, I got to hear you out. I'll give you a moment. Let's sit down. Let's talk, because you've sold me that you're sold on yourself. Let's hear it. Is that going to work every time? No. Is it going to give you thick skin? Yes. Is it going to make you develop that mindset of just being fearless? Absolutely. So that's why I'm a huge proponent of doing that, because it's just takes balls, shows you have balls, shows that you have the commitment. We'll love it. Now, that being said, that takes time, depending on, if you live in a huge city where, every 10 steps you got a potential client, well, then you could spend your day walking around. But realistically, you're going to reach a lot more people calling. So what I would say is, if you can, focus on that phone heavily and try just get yourself to do one, maybe two cold visits a day. Just work it in. If you're going out for lunch somewhere, if you go, work it in to where it makes sense. I'm going to be in the car anyway. I'm going to be driving by anyway. Let's just stop in and see what happens. And when you first show up, you don't have to go straight into hard close mode. Try to build that relationships. Try to talk and let them know, hey, I'm in the area now. Here's what I'm working on. Here's what I'm doing. I saw you guys' business. I love what you're all about. If you have a minute, I'd love to make time to sit down and talk with you today, and whatever. Use that type of an approach, but try to work it in. Unless you are living out in the middle of nowhere where it's going to take you an hour to drive somewhere, there's really no excuse, especially if you're in a city, why you can't. One or two visits a day. Just start making it a habit, and you'd be surprised over time what ends up to start happening. And when it comes to the phone, you gotta become lethal. You have to become a machine, but not a robot. And by that, I mean, you need to become a machine in that you sit down, you're going to make 30 calls. You're not going to stop until you make them. You're not going to waste time. You're going to operate just boom, 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 rapid fire, rapid fire, rapid fire, rapid fire. Now, when you get on the phone, while you want to have some sort of you want to have your pitch locked down, but you don't want to sound like you're reading. You don't want to sound fake or forced. And that's where a lot of people fall, and they don't. And most of it comes from not practicing, not rehearsing. You need to have your elevator pitch down. Most people refer to an elevator pitch as being about 30 seconds. Give them a quick intro, who you are, who you represent. If it's your own business, let them know, hey, I'm the owner of XYZ. If you're working for somebody, I'm calling from the offices of so-and-so, asked me to give you a call today and reach out to see how you were doing. Here's what we do. You got to give them what is the number one thing that you can do for them, and then try to land an appointment and try to get in their front door and try to get to the point where that cold visit is actually more of a warm visit. Try to land the appointment. But the number one thing you're going to do on any cold call is you have to quickly give them your big claim. What is it that you can do for them? Why should they even consider talking to you? For me, where I'm a sales trainer, it's pretty cut and dry. What's my big claim? I'm going to boost your sales results. If you bring me in and let me work with your sales team for a week, if you bring me in, hell man, if you even bring me in and just let me do, a quick 2-hour presentation, I promise you I'm going to boost sales results. I promise you, whatever money you spend to bring me in, it's going to pay for itself for months. So that being said, will you make time to sit down today and talk to me and see if they'll let you come in and sit down? And if the answer is no, well, when can you make time? Can you make time with me tomorrow? Your number one goal on a cold call, of course, if you can, is land the gig right then and there. But really, what you're really going to be focused on is trying to get in front of them, trying to land that appointment so that you can actually sit down, get in front of them, let them know full blank what you're all about, and take it from there.
Hey, I love that. One thing that I pulled out of there that I can use your refinement, but one thing that's really worked for me is that 30-second elevator pitch. That's great, especially with us contractors that are selling a commodity thing. Really, you have to spend some time on developing that. But I really like the approach, and you touched on it just now, and hopefully I can replay it in some form. But I love when you can just ask someone, hey, if I could show you a way to get masonry projects done without any aggravation at a very fair price and X, Y, and Z, would you give that any consideration? That
Right.
is an opener that I think, anyone can use in that business. Hey, if I could show you a way to save $10,000 off your copying, expenses this year, would you give me, a 5-minute PowerPoint?
Exactly. And that's the beauty. And that's your big claim, right? So you got to figure out what that is. So if it means, hey, every company that we work with, or 90% of companies that we work with, end up saving $10,000 a year. That's the big claim. Who doesn't want that? So even if, and then you can take it a step further and you can say, even if only a fraction of that ends up being true for you in your company, would you make time to meet with me today? So even if you can't fulfill this, you're going to save them $10,000. For me, even if I say, I work with a lot of companies and I end up boosting sales results by 50% or more, even if only 20% of that ends up being true for your company, wouldn't you still want to make time to sit down and meet with me today and see what we can do? Right? You want to just keep that forward progression going and just really bring it home to them, the fact that, listen, you're not going to say it this way, but yes, clearly I'm a salesperson, but reality is, here's what I can do to help you. I'm calling you today. I'm not trying to make a quick buck. I'm trying to help you. That's not what you're going to say. That's what's going to be in your mindset, and that's going to be the backbone to your approach. Yes, you're a salesperson. Yes, absolutely, you're going for the sale. But realistically, what you're really doing is showing them how much value you can bring to them, how much you can help them. People aren't going to give you money unless what you bring to the table is worth way more than that. So if I charge somebody $5,000 for me to come in and do a 2-hour presentation or whatever, $5,000, holy cow, that's a lot of money. Small business, geez, that's too much money. Okay. But what you're failing to see here is that how much money are you landing per sale? Whatever you're selling, if you're selling cars, whatever, how much money is it bringing in per sale? So if bringing me in even just lands you one more sale, you're ahead, right? You gotta build the value and show the value. So you gotta have that be that's like your backbone. That's what you're resting on, is the fact that you're showing them value. You're letting them know and letting them see that by them doing business with you, they're not shelling money out, they're ending up ahead.
Love it. Love it. All right, so we knocked off two really good ones, LinkedIn, and we just knocked off cold calling. Let's give you an update on Austin from Austin, because
Yeah.
I just wrote up, and here's one thing that I think, any sales manager, I'm sure you do this, all these guys that I've been very poor at over the last 2 decades of managing people, is people want feedback. They want to know how they're doing. I'm notoriously bad at it.
Yep.
But so he really appreciated, after the first month, giving him feedback where I thought he has to improve, what he's doing good. I just did that again, he's in the second month now. But the recurring theme with him right now is there's lots of leads there. So that means there's lots of proposals that need to be done. There's lots of follow through. The jobs that we're doing, that he's selling, need to get insurance certificates ordered, need to get started, need to be managed, subs being talked to. So the more he's selling, that's adding more activities. So I don't know if it's a time management question, if it's a Shawn Flynn riff on, hey, buck up and get your act in gear. What are you complaining about? You got leads and prospects and sold jobs. What's that diamond that you can share with these guys that, you start getting leads? How do you stay more organized? How do you attack it?
So, good problem to have. Number one, that's what I would be stressing to him if I was his manager, if I was his boss. First thing I would be saying is, hey, man, what's happened here is that you took enough action, like we told you to in the early days, to the point where you've got new problems. Anytime you're a salesperson, a business owner, you want to create new problems. That should be your number one goal. And you want them to be good problems, right? You want to transition to bigger and better problems. The worst problem you can have as a salesperson, the worst problem you can have as a business owner, is not enough leads, not enough clients, not enough customers, not enough work to be done. That's the big problem. And that was a problem on day one, right? When you start fresh, that's a problem. Now, when you start tackling it with ferocity, which it sounds like he does, if his pipeline is this full and he's got all this stuff to manage, that's a good problem. Showing up to work and like, holy cow, I've got 20 appointments today. I've only got time for 10. So you're pulling your hair out. Dude, that's a good problem to have. That is a beautiful problem to have. So the answer to this falls on a couple different paths. And some of it is on you and some of it is on him. And it's just a matter of you in your position going through what you've gone through and managing people as you have and running different companies as you have, knowing what the normal circumstances are, knowing what the normal workload could be, knowing what an increased workload, like I'm always promoting and pushing to push yourself, right, could realistically be. And then on him, it comes down to understanding and getting, not getting overwhelmed. Are you time managing yourself? Are you writing out a schedule? Are you holding yourself accountable? Are you going through step by step each and every day, laying things out? Are you committing at a ridiculous level? Are you not wasting any time, right? So to start with him, again, I would say, good job. You've created a new problem. New problem is you've got too much work to keep up with. That's amazing. So what's the solution? What can we do? Now that's when you got to sit down. And if Austin from Austin is a young kid and he's new to this and this whole experience is brand new, he might not just have the answer. It's one thing somebody like myself tells somebody, listen, you just got to buck up and you just got to do it. That's all well and good. And a lot of it is just more hyperbole and cliche than anything. The reality is you got to find a way to make that happen. You have to sit down and actually blueprint and figure it out. So number one, is he doing that? That's what you got to find out. And that's what you got to ask him. What are you doing? Can you show it to me? How's it going? And are you witnessing it? Right. Mm-hmm. That's where he needs to focus his attention. And again, when does your workday start? When does your workday end? Are you willing to put in extra hours at night? Are you willing to do this, that, and the other thing? Is he doing that already? Does he, where I'm assuming he's not salary based, he's getting paid on his results. So when you're getting paid on your results and you're a salesperson and you want to really build a strong foundation for yourself financially, you got to make some sacrifices. So that's what I would tell him. And then what I would tell you as a business owner would be understanding everything, watching him as you are, seeing how much revenue he's bringing in, the leads he's generating, and clients he's closing. Are you asking him as a salesperson to do too much? Is there something that you could do, or somebody else, maybe hire an intern or somebody cheap pay that could take something off his plate? Salespeople want to be doing what they do best, which is selling. And right. the more you can take off of their plate, the more they can get out there and do what they're doing best, which is selling. So that's where, as a business owner, you need to sit back and look and understand, geez, I've got this rock star. I've got this kid. He's hungry. You know what? Yeah. But he's getting overwhelmed. So if I don't give him some help, if I don't pay a little bit of extra money to give him some help, he's going to get so burnt out, he's going to run away, right? You got to, that's it. When it comes to running a business and running a sales team, it is such a balancing act, especially for you, if you're business owner / sales manager. It's, one thing to own a business and then have a sales manager managing your salespeople, and you're just making the bigger decisions versus trying to run the business and trying to run a sales team and trying to do this and trying to do that. How much time are you really able to pay attention to what he's doing? And do you really know if he's at his limit? Is he working too much? Is there that extra couple bucks a week you could spend to take some off of his plate, allowing him to bring in more money? That's where it gets to be good problems, because these are good problems to have, is having to come up with these discussions and decisions. And okay, I'm at a position now where maybe I can hire somebody else, but geez, that's really scary. I don't know if I can afford that. Well, are you trying to grow and expand, or are you just trying to maintain? If you're thinking expansion, that's a good problem. A good problem is to produce so much revenue, so many clients, that you have to pay somebody else. You have to take on another person. And a smart business owner will see that and understand that, man, if I do this and I let him go out and do what he does best, he's going to bring in so much more revenue. This person's an afterthought that I'm paying. They're just, I'll pay him $10 an hour or whatever just to do some paperwork. Boom. So on the business side, that's where you got to think. On his side, it just comes down to that commitment, and it comes down to, are you planning things properly? Are you writing things out? Are you holding yourself accountable? And to what level are you willing to commit? I know it's hard in the early days. You'll get yourself into a groove. I'm confident in you. That's kind of your job to push them there. But it's a mix of the both, and it's always gotta be. It's never gonna be a flat line of just everything is hunky dory. When you're busting your balls and you're bringing in revenue, it gets chaotic, man, and you gotta embrace that chaos.
Love it. Love it. That's a challenge to me more than anything, is to make sure that, he's not burdened with undue admin type of stuff.
And it's a fine line that you got to walk. It is a fine line that you got to walk. And it means for you to make those types of decisions, you need to know 100% that he's, yes, like you got to be able to sit there and watch. See, a lot of managers don't really pay attention. So they make decisions based off of what they think, as opposed to what, if they sit down and look at data, can show them. So that's where you got to really hammer down, and be a leader, right? Don't just be a boss. Be the leader that sees it, acknowledges it, and then pushes forward and makes that decision that's going to make things that much better.
And you know what else? Just to tag on that, the calendar doesn't lie. So if I could look at his calendar, that'll tell me where he's spending his time, and maybe I could coach him up from there. Awesome.
Yeah, accountability is a huge part of it. And you got to know the data, right? If you don't really track employees to know what they're doing, you may think, oh, this kid, he's not even busting. He's just whining and he's not working hard enough. Reality, maybe he is. Maybe he just is flat out has too much to do during the day. And if a little bit came off, he'd blow up. So you got to track it. Now, randomly this week, I stumbled upon, I don't know how much it would help him, but there is a ton of software out there that actually tracks how you use like the computer or your phone every single day, and you can integrate it. Pretty cool. I don't know if this will make sense with him or not, but if you ever do try something like that, have it come from a stance of, I want to help to make sure that you're being true to yourself, because it's easy to think that you're staying off point all day long, but the numbers don't lie. So the reality is, we've got this awesome software. This isn't for me to attack you or put you in a corner. This is for you to make sure that you are holding yourself accountable. So don't be afraid to venture out and look at those types of programs. Somebody like me that gets distracted easy, I'm not afraid to use those on myself, just to make sure that I'm staying on point and doing what I need to be doing. It's a good way to know how you spend your day, especially if 90% of what you're doing is on your computer or on your phone.
Love it. All right, Shawnee, stay on the line after we say thank you to the contractors, because I got two extra bonus questions I need to personally ask you, because I don't go to anyone else for sales coaching other than you.
I love it.
All the contractors, especially those guys that have served in the military, we both thank you, appreciate you, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. I'm excited. You just sparked a great thing. I think we're going to talk next time about commissions, paying your guys in commissions on gross profit versus top line revenue. Your thoughts as a sales manager, sales coach. I think that'll be topic number one. Thanks, guys, for taking time to listen. See you in a couple weeks.
Got it, guys. Everybody have an amazing weekend. Be safe. We'll see you in 2 weeks.